Drew and Mike, this is the Week in Review, and there's a few big criminal cases that have just been absorbing the nation. Of course, we don't need to mention the first a-hole that got our attention back in '94 and still has it. This Colorado case with JonBenet Ramsey has been intriguing, to say the least. And has that kid not been on the cover of a magazine? Has there been a magazine in the last month that hasn't had that poor kid on the cover?
I know it, and I'll tell you what, I mean, if that child was alive today and got this kind of media coverage, oh my God, she'd be in every movie you'd ever see from now till I don't know when. There'd be TV shows she'd be on. Wow. But you're right, man, everywhere you look.
Well, there were some goings-on in Denver this past week, or Boulder, I should say. The Denver Post is covering the story for us, and raised a few eyebrows. We really weren't sure what was what, and it's always fun to kind of explore the theories with Chris Lopez of the Denver Post, who is the editor of all the JonBenet Ramsey coverage, and he answered some questions and talked to us Thursday morning on the Week in Review on 101 WRIF. How
you doing, Chris?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good.
Not bad. There's been a lot of stuff going on with the JonBenet Ramsey. What's her last name? JonBenet Ramsey case the last couple of days, and I was thinking yesterday, oh man, I'd like to talk to Chris and see what he knows about all this. In fact, why don't we open up the phone lines if anybody has any questions? 313-298-WRIF. It's one of the really actually, we've had a lot of criminal trials that have just entranced the nation in the last couple of years, and this is one we haven't heard much about the last couple of weeks. But what has happened in the last 2 days, Chris, in a nutshell?
There were some interesting developments with the investigative team put together by John and Patricia Ramsey. JonBenet's parents are acting rather peculiar. They sent a letter to the district attorney insisting that they be able to monitor any DNA testing, which under Colorado law is not the case unless you are a named defendant, so they really have no rights there. But the fact that they would send that letter is interesting.
They're kind of jumping the gun.
Yeah, they're wanting to get right in the middle of the investigation, which they really have no standing because they're not representing any suspects or any defendants in this case.
Right. You know what's funny?
We also learned, just real quick, that the word behead was also contained in the ransom note. We've now heard several different words that are in the ransom note.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, because Linda Hoffman, at least this is just running rampant in the Enquirer, talking about that. And she was the nanny and the housekeeper, and she said her hand trembled and my blood ran cold as I wrote out the word behead in the felt-tip pen while the police hovered over her. So, yeah, that's very interesting. And apparently she's saying that JonBenet's killer had threatened to cut off the head of the child in this ransom note.
But we confirmed the word is in the note. We know that Denver Post does. What context we're not clear at this point.
You know, Chris, every time there's a new development, there's always something about it that makes me think, oh, there's something going on in that family, and then there's always something that points away. Because it is odd that they would request to be in on this business of the DNA testing when they're not necessarily charged or official suspects yet. But on the other hand, if you did it and you knew your DNA was there, wouldn't you rather that somebody else did the testing and then you could come back later and say, oh, they did the test wrong and that's why it's us?
That's a very good point.
Yeah, that is a good point. That's one way to look at it. But the Ramsey's team sure is they're acting somewhat peculiar here. So.
Yeah, one preemptive strike after another. And on that particular thing, one thing we were trying to figure out is that I'm under the impression that whether it's the semen or the hair or blood, that DNA is DNA is DNA, and because they have hair and blood samples from every member of the family, and they're now doing this other analysis, can't they match based on that? You know what I mean? Because we're hearing about that they would need a sample from the family in order to do a direct compare on DNA, but you know what I mean?
Well, there's different levels of DNA testing, and some can, as we saw, some can show that you have 1 in 7-8 million chance of being being wrong here. So it's really the level of the DNA testing that you're doing because there's different levels.
Yeah, with OJ, it was like they completed one test which said there was a 1 in a million chance he wasn't the killer, and then the other one said there was 1 in 50 bazillion that he wasn't the killer. So I think I know what you're talking about. Now, did you see the FBI guy that the family hired on Dateline NBC last night?
I saw a transcript from his interview. I didn't see the actual TV show, but I saw what he said. I saw a transcript.
It's interesting to watch it because while he was clearly on there to say it's not the family, I know it, I've talked to him and all that, he did kind of qualify it, didn't he, Mike?
There's no question he qualified the statement, said that based on something, not a direct quote, but something to the effect of, based on all the cases I've seen in the past and all the experience that I've, garnered from all that, I don't think that they did it. In other words, he left
on that, you have to keep in mind that he also was not privy to the evidence that the police department has gathered in the case. He was going on his own personal interviews with the couple, as well as he went into the house, but by that time the crime scene had been cleaned up. So he was going out, and he had seen a photocopy of the ransom note, but mostly he was going off his interviews with the parents, and he said that they didn't fit the profile of this particular crime. But again, he did not have the information that the police have.
There was something last night that came up that intrigued me. He said they wouldn't meet with the police because once, whoever it was, the mayor or whoever came out and said, hey, look, there's no crazy killer out there, sort of like we know who it is, which really did put the spotlight on the Ramsey family. At that point, they weren't going to talk to the police because they knew they already suspected them. But had the police already attempted to talk to them at that point?
The police have interviews with the Ramseys that would be admissible in court if it ever came to that. They interviewed them at the house. They interviewed them when they went and gave their blood hair samples at the police station. So they've interviewed them a couple of different times in different settings, but they've never. So they wanted to interview them another time. They call it a formal interview, but.
Had they requested that, though, before that had been said, that there's no crazy killer out there? Had they already desired this meeting with them?
That came out New Year's Day on the CNN interview when Mrs. Ramsey said there's a crazed killer out there, and then the next day the mayor, January 2nd, the mayor said, no, there's not, just to calm everyone's fears.
Okay, and they had already, at that point, they wanted to talk to them more.
Yeah, and at that point they had already talked to him once. And they did want to talk to him again.
Chris, I keep saying the Enquirer, but boy, they sure do dig into some things.
Well, they're good. They're checkbook journalism.
Yeah,
well, they're all over that case
I gotta tell you, but
there's no reason to doubt what they stick in there when they. This is a nanny that was living in that house for 15 months, and they paid her off, but I would imagine that she's telling a pretty good story.
Right. She, a couple of things that she comes out with, one thing being that she was chilled when she saw John Ramsey smiling and chatting with friends after the memorial service. But the actual question to you, Chris, is they cite here that a spare key hidden outside the Ramsey's Boulder, Colorado house was missing after the murder.
Yeah, we're still looking. Our reporters are still looking into a couple of things that are in that story.
Okay.
We started working on it Monday when we first saw the story. And so far, the only thing we've confirmed on our own is the word beheaded.
I don't suppose that nanny's going to talk to you for free, is she?
You can't even find her.
Is that right? Oh, no kidding.
Well, the Enquirer, they do. They hide people away, don't they? Once they get them, isn't there some kind of deal? Well, you can't talk to anyone else for a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
right.
It says right on here, exclusive interview.
Right. The word was that they had taken her down to Florida, honestly. And, a lot of people have been trying to find this woman, even before the Enquirer did.
Yeah.
But...
Okay, we got some people on the phone who have questions. Kim, is that you?
Yeah.
You're on with Chris Lopez from the Denver Post, who knows about as much about this story as anybody.
Great. The Dayline story I saw last night, they mentioned that the practice letter was in a woman's handwriting where the real letter was in a man's handwriting. Is that correct?
That would be hard to determine. The practice letter looked like the person was trying to disguise their handwriting. And it was only a sentence long. So, the only people that have ever seen the ransom note is the authorities, and then there's a photocopy of the ransom note and the practice note that was given to the Ramseys.
But Kim, that suggestion...
It's hard to determine from a photocopy. You can't really determine from a photocopy the authenticity.
So has the possibility been discussed that the father, Mr. Ramsey, may have had a girlfriend or a lover who was angry because he wasn't... Well, no, what if he wasn't spending Christmas with her, she got upset, brought some other boyfriend or some man to come, and she might have access to information regarding his bonus amount.
That's never been reported.
Wow, it's amazing how people spin these theories, isn't it? And I'm not
there's so many
saying
things,
that any theory is possible, Kim, but that's that one I hadn't even thought about.
Well, the interesting thing too, again, this house is apparently complex, the way the rooms are configured and so forth, and there was such in-depth knowledge of the fact that she would always go down those stairs every morning and so forth, so on. So, but I noticed another one of these tabloids is trying to really point the finger back at the employer and that back at his company, that somebody had access to this, that, and the other. Of course, a lot of this is pouring out of the Ramseys, and there's no question they're trying to direct the spotlight at that it probably was somebody at that work, at that business,
Cheryl, you got a question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hi, this is Cheryl. How you doing, Chris?
Good, thank you.
My theory that I came up with yesterday is, what if the family from the beginning knew who it was and they didn't want the judicial system to take care of this person? They wanted to take care of him themselves.
That could be...
the guy has a lot of money, and I think you'd rather see somebody eyes poked out than watch him sit on death row for 50 years.
I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities. I mean, there could be a very good cover-up going on.
Do you hear this? Do you hear this stuff ventured all the time around the Denver Post?
Yeah. A lot of interesting theories, but hers is actually not that out of the realm of possibility.
Wouldn't there be more cooperation with the police and so forth?
Not if they don't want to get hung for taking care of this person.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying.
She could be suggesting that they might have put someone in some psychiatric testing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been thrown out there too, that they're covering up for someone who they've trying to get some help for at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Chris, surely everyone's looked into whether this guy has a mistress or what's going on in their life that's out of sorts. Has anything unseemly been discovered about the family or the stepson?
No, and that's what throws a lot of cold water on the theory that the family may be involved. Is that everywhere you turn, everyone has nothing but good things to say, and there's just really no dirt, I guess.
Except the nanny.
Mm-hmm.
What about the stepson? Last time we talked to you, you said he was, I believe he was hundreds of miles away that day, so he was just literally out. But his
mother in Atlanta, and Mr. Ramsey both have come forward and said that there's no way he did it because he was with his mother.
And is everybody comfortable that that's been verified?
No.
Yeah, because didn't we even hear, Drew, that he was in fact there for Christmas Day?
People Magazine reported that he was there, but the family made it a very strong point to come out publicly and say that he was not there, and that the police should at least acknowledge that and clear him as a possible suspect.
But they haven't done that, have they?
No, they haven't done that, and of course also revealed in the Enquirer the fact that right next to JonBenet's bedroom is the room reserved for who else? The half-brother, John.
Hey, Jackie?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Well, my question is, first of all, good morning. I just wanted to ask, I know that the DNA evidence that they collected was a very small amount.
Right.
And I know that the defense wanted to have a sample of that, and the prosecution or the state...
Well, there's no defense yet.
No defense yet.
The family requested...
Yeah, the family has requested to run their own testing. And my question is, under Colorado law, are they still going to be able to test that?
No, under Colorado law, if there's no defendant, then the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, which does all the testing, proceeds forward with their testing, and they don't have to share that any sample because there's no named defendant. Now, I can't speak to what happens once there is a named defendant and how that DNA, how that sharing of a sample goes. But right now, they are not under the Colorado Bureau of Investigation can proceed with all its testing and is doing that. We talked to the head of the lab yesterday, and he made it pretty clear that they're proceeding with all of their sampling, and under the law, that's what they can do.
Now, did the family give any of their own blood evidence to the state?
Yes.
They have done that?
Yes.
So they should know.
Hair and blood.
If there's some kind of a match between that and the semen, they should know that pretty soon, shouldn't they?
Yeah. We're thinking within first week of February, the second week.
Hey, the cops there, in a way, I almost want to give them credit. It doesn't seem like much bleeds out on that investigation because, you know, we're used to most of these things, whether it's Susan Smith or O.J. Simpson or whoever it is. It seems like we know everything before they ever go to court.
Somebody's always talking.
Right. The police department here has been very careful in the way they handle the investigation, and they've really clamped down on leaks coming out of the police department. I mean, it's actually, there's some pretty funny stories, but this police chief is very tough at clamping down on things. In fact, he removed one of the lead investigators from the case right after the 1st of January because of leaks.
Is this Jeff?
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, you're on with Chris Lopez from the Denver Post.
Hey, my question was, I had the theory originally that, because they had said that the brother was jealous because of all the attention that JonBenet got, that maybe he had something to do with it, and the practice note was an attempt to cover that up and protect the son.
Now, are you talking about the older or younger son?
The younger son.
Oh, the younger son.
The 9-year-old as opposed to the 20-year-old?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is a little bit more difficult to go with because, one, you've got a 9-year-old kid who has gone back to school, by the way. And when the family went out to Atlanta to bury JonBenet, the 9-year-old son was allowed to take a friend with him to keep him company. And if you go along with that maybe he was involved, I don't think you'd want the
because you might blab to the friend. Plus all the weird sexual devices or whatever. It just doesn't seem like a 9-year-old. I don't know.
Yeah, that's got to be beyond a 9. In fact, also, Chris, another tabloid back a ways now was suggesting that the Charlevoix house, they found a cord similar to the one used, out in Colorado. Have you heard that?
I read that, but we've not been able to confirm that. But we did talk to the sheriff out in Charlevoix, who said that they really came away with nothing.
And the other thing is, too, I had heard that he wants to return to work, but they don't want him returning to work. And in fact, there's somebody who's threatening the business that if, in fact, he returns to work,
that's the one who did it.
They're
threatening.
Yeah, they're going to pay big time. And so
the business did 4 days ago, last Friday, receive a death threat that the building would be blown up. But it looks like just a copycat situation.
Hey, Nick.
And Mr. Ramsey, all through last week, the business kept saying that Mr. Ramsey would be back to work this week, and then now he will not be back.
Hey, Nick.
Yes.
Go ahead. We'll take one more.
I was wondering why all of a sudden they're not investigating the fact that they didn't turn the alarm on. I mean,
I know.
Normally they turn the alarm on every day, but just so happens this day they didn't.
Yep.
Well, that's I don't know. I've never really got too caught up in the alarm situation because, as a homeowner, when you're at your house, I don't know if you really turn your alarm on because a lot of things can trip it in the middle of the night. You really turn your alarm on when you're going away on vacation or when you're going to be gone, and you don't want anyone to break in while you're gone. But I don't know that too many people actually use their home alarms when they're in the house.
Oh, at night, is that right?
Randy, we're going to take one more. I'm told this is a good question. Randy? Wait, here he is. Randy?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering how closely people are looking at employee records. I've recently fired people from John Ramsey's company.
The company has done their own internal investigation into that, and the company has stated publicly that they believe that it's not a disgruntled employee or anyone connected to Access Graphics.
Everyone does their own investigation. How many people would have known that this guy's bonus check was $118,000? That seems to me to be very, he's the head of the company. How many people are going to know that?
That would have known would have been his direct boss at Lockheed Martin, which is the parent company. So that his direct boss, and then a couple of clerical people who cut those checks.
And also that money was deposited prior to this murder, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it would have been, and it would, it's just a couple of, just a few people that would have had that knowledge.
That guy last night said the wife did not know the amount of the check. I don't think they even asked him, but I think he said that.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, thanks a lot for the help again. Chris Lopez from the Denver Post, covering the story for the people of Denver and helping us out too. And we'll get back to you if something big comes up.
Have a good day.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. Bye-bye.